What's up, my brothers and I? I'm finally back in Montreal. Had a very long trip in Toronto, so I'm really glad to be here. And that's why I haven't been uploading many videos this week. So, normal schedule will resume, and of course, I got a lot of surprises. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to check out the collaboration video I did with Jeff Nippard. It's an awesome bench and yoke segment. Really fun, motivating, and informative at the same time. So that'll be in the description box and right here. And with that said, let's resume the regular Q&As. First question, can I build triceps with high volume, high frequency bodyweight tricep extensions? Don't they stretch and build a long head? They absolutely do, and I believe that this is one of the missing elements in many calisthenics routines, not isolating the arms. Is it true that you can get decent development with high volume chin-ups and diamond push-ups? Yeah, they'll grow to a certain extent, but to hit the maximum potential, isolation work is very important, and I feel that bodyweight tricep extensions are a great way of doing that, especially on the bar. Like, you get a really deep stretch in that long head, man. So that's definitely where it's at. And I would say high volume, high frequency, as long as it does not impede your ability to recover and it's not causing you elbow issues, which shouldn't be a problem in the first place if you're doing connective tissue work. I say, why not, man? Do your standard routine, isolate at the end, you're good. And the same thing for biceps, You can actually do ring curls and all kinds of other variations. But yeah, you're asking me about tricep extensions. Yes, they can be done with the body weight. You'll make a lot of gains from it. Could increasing my GM press increase my bench automatically? I'd say so, man. Those exercises are very much correlated. It's basically a close grip bench and skull crusher simultaneously. And logically, it would make sense that if you get a stronger GM press, your flat bench is going to go up automatically. Like, let's say you can do 225 for reps. Like, do you know how strong that is in the tris? Your close grip bench is automatically going to be good. And I don't see why you'd be lagging in any type of way. Like, this is a very good accessory movement. I strongly recommend it. Just get strong at it. See what happens. How do I set up overhead press specialist 3 times a week with volume intensity days? I've been doing intensity every workout and I feel like I hit a wall. Please help. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend intensity overhead press 3 times a week unless you're doing some type of Bulgarian routine or whatever. But a much more practical and effective way, in my view, is a heavy, light, medium setup. So Monday, intensity day. Wednesday, light overhead press. Friday, volume. Try that out. Like, maybe on your Fridays, you can do a 10 by 3 or something. Then on your Wednesday, you use a lower percentage, but you're just getting the reps in. Maybe even some close grip bench or dumbbell shoulder press to complement it, right? Then Monday, going heavy, above 80%. Doing your singles, your triples and fives, even doubles in many cases. So that's definitely how I would structure it. And I'd also rotate the variations to override the biological law of accommodation. I feel this works best when you're doing a heavy, light, medium setup or just volume intensity in general. So the way you're doing it now, heavy, 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 I think there's a better way, which I just described. People are making fun of me in the gym when I do behind the back deadlift, and also the private trainers are arguing with me as well. How would you approach the people in private trainers if you were in my situation? Well, they're probably making fun of you because you're not that jacked, right? So are you a novice lifter? If so, why are you doing behind the back deadlifts? I mean, it's cool. It's a great exercise, and honestly, you can make gains with it right now, no problem. But maybe you should get jacked first, get a good foundation of muscle mass, and then people are not going to talk trash about you, okay? Besides that, like, who gives a fuck? Like, why do you care what these people think of you in the first place? Does it even matter? Is it against the rules? Does it say on the contract that you're not allowed to do behind the back deadlifts? Why does it bother other individuals that you're pulling behind instead of front? Oh, it's because they're sheep and they don't know any better. But that's besides the point. It's not against the rules. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just minding your own fucking business, working out. And these people are busting your balls. And private trainers, like, I don't know, could you talk to someone in the front or something? These people are harassing me. They're not letting me train in private or whatever. Can you get some headphones on, just ignore their ass? Like, what can you do? Like, this is a very strange way to act, And on another note, I mean, you can send them footage of old school lifters who used to do it. You can send them pictures. You can tell them, hey, this exercise has been around for a very long time. Look at George Hackenschmidt, whatever the fuck his name was, right? He's like the old school strongman who popularized this lift, the hack lift, right? You can show them videos on YouTube of guys lifting crazy heavy weights. There are some individuals who've done that. You can show them my 655 or whatever. Like, I don't know. As long as you're not going to get kicked out or anything like that, who the fuck cares? Like, really, who cares? Is this going to change anything in your life in the long term? Do these people even matter to you? Like, what does it change? So, I don't know, bro. To me, I don't care. I'm way past all that stuff. You ever get into fingerboard or sledgehammer wrist and forearm work? I remember you were on ego loops for a bit. Curious on the progress, too. Not really. Like, I've done a little bit of that. Like, I used to do sledgehammer stuff at home. And I used to actually wear a bicycle helmet when doing that, just to make sure that I didn't crush my skull. And it was great. It's awesome stuff, for real. But the thing is, my forearms have no trouble developing. Like, in all aspects. Just regular grip training, bodybuilding. I'm good on the forearm department, okay? which is excellent because it's one of the key muscle groups in Naturally Enhanced. So for me, I'm trying to emphasize more so the biceps these days. Like that's what needs emphasis, right? So forearms I've kind of laid off, and I'm not trying to shoot for, say, optimal gains, if you will. But even despite that, I would say that those types of movements you're describing are less effective compared to the arm wrestler movements, like the wrist flexion exercises and even the partial curls and all that. I think those do more for just sheer forearm size and even performance, like general strength, you know. The sledgehammer stuff is very specific, and the ego loops is, in my experience, not the greatest way to get forearm size. Like you get really strong doing that, and it's a unique form of displaying your strength. I like it, and it helps a lot with double overhand deadlifts or just pulls in general, even regular pull-ups. It's good. It has carryover. It's nice. But for blowing up the size, like honestly, the arm wrestler way is superior. But hey, I got no problems with ego loops. You see me do the one finger pull-up, right? And I'll probably use them again. It's just not something I'm interested in right now because my goal is upper arm, not forearm. Hey Alex, I was wondering if you can give me some insight on your novice program. My girlfriend and I just started working out. She was wondering if she could do the same program. Her goal is to gain muscle endurance. She's a fairly petite girl, 5'1", and 108 of skin and bone. Yeah, she could run the program, dude. Had lots of women do it, actually. And basically, it's the same process. The recovery will not be as good, and the weight jumps will have to be a lot smaller. So on your deadlift, let's say you're brand new to training, right? You might be able to add 20 pounds like in one shot. And then eventually it goes down to 10, then it goes down to 5, right? For your girlfriend, it'll probably be half that, okay? Or let's bring it to the bench press. You can add 5 pounds of workout, right? For her, it's going to be 2.5. So you might have to micro load it in a different type of way because for them, it's larger. The jumps affect you differently. On a squat, you might do Monday 100 pounds, Wednesday 105, Friday 110. That's very realistic if you're just starting out, okay? For your girlfriend, it won't look like that. It'll be slower progress with much smaller jumps. And from what I've seen, they tend to benefit more from the lower volume setup, not necessarily max, because it affects them more for some reason, okay? And also your peaking point. I noticed that women tend to milk out their linear gains a little bit quicker. I wouldn't really stress, like she could do it, no problem. It has all the essentials in there. Just understand that the jumps are going to be very different, okay? And she's not going to get the same results as you, obviously. What do you think about fasting on off days? Do you think it would impede recovery or enhance it? Maybe it's like OMAD, less energy on the stomach digesting food and more energy on healing the body. No, it's definitely inferior from a recovery standpoint, just straight up, especially if you're doing a high-frequency program. Like if you're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then maybe another day too. If you're doing like every other day, then the off days is really going to kill you if you're not eating whatsoever. Like zero food, yeah, it's going to harm you. Now, if you're doing a lower frequency, you might be able to get away with it. The thing that I would say is base it off your total weekly expenditure, not daily. Okay, so not your TDE, right? And as long as your weight is consistently going up, why not, right? You're just making up for it. But chances are you won't, and you'll end up in a deficit doing that approach. And just the fact that you're not eating the day after a strenuous workout, like that in itself is not optimal. So in no way would I recommend this for performance, but for health, I would say, yeah, why not? You can try it out. And of course, if you're cutting, that's another advanced technique to help you shed off those last pounds. Obviously, it'll be difficult to do extended fasts when you're very lean, right? So that's where it becomes useful. But performance-wise, like this is not ideal whatsoever. But again, what are you looking for? Optimal or effective? So you can do what you want. I personally wouldn't advise that much. I would say if you're going to do fasting this way, maybe you should wait till the weekend. Like Monday, Thursday, you train. Then maybe on the weekends. So Monday, Thursday, you train. Then maybe Saturday, you do one of these. Or Sunday, you do a 48 there, right? Or you start the fast on Thursday night after eating a huge meal. And there you go. And then you still get your Sunday to eat another meal. And now you're good for the following week. So just try it out, but it's not ideal. I think you know that. Do you recommend increasing volume before weight for your novice program? For example, going from squatting 160 3x5 for squatting to 160 at 5x5 the next workout, increasing the weight to 165. Okay, I understand what you're talking about here. So you're using the lowest volume one day, then the next day, as a form of progression, you're adding an extra 2 sets, right? Do I recommend this? No, not really. I recommend you stick to one set and rep guideline and just run that through all the way till the end. Like, what will mostly happen is as you get closer to the intermediate stage, the 5x5, well, it's not 5x5, but those higher sets, right, will start to be problematic on your recovery. You're just going to start to feel it. And in that case, you start to reduce. So you drop it from 5 to 3, and then you can milk more linear gains based off that. Now, you're actually suggesting the opposite, where you begin with 3, then you gradually increase to 5. Like, why not just start with the highest volume right away? If you're able to recover from it, fantastic. Now you don't have to worry about this extra day that might be hurting your gains a little bit because you could have increased the weight instead. So the way that I see it, the linear progression adding weight to the barbell is more important than the sets, even though increasing the sets does make you stronger automatically, right? So it's one of those weird questions there, but I know what you're saying. I get it. Just forget about it for now. Based off your ability to recover, pick one or the other. 3 sets or 5 sets, milk the gains from there and calibrate accordingly as you get closer to intermediate. Hey Alex, while doing behind the back deadlift, I tend to get stuck with the barbell on my hamstring, especially when I wear shorts. I cannot properly lock out. Strength is not the problem here. How can I improve form to prevent this from happening? Okay, I would definitely recommend progressive range of motion block or rack pulls. The form is definitely different on a behind the back deadlift, and you're gonna have much more knee, like forward knee travel in a sense, and it's not at all the same compared to a conventional pull. So what I would say is start in the rack. This way, you're not gonna pull with the weight like really pressing against your hamstrings in a weird fashion. Okay, and what you could do is when you gradually start to reduce that height, your body's naturally gonna find the best groove in a way that makes sense. So you can lock it out, and it's not gonna be a problem. And there's actually another good accessory that you can try out, which is very hard on the knees, but it will work. Either you wear some squat shoes or you stand up on a plate or whatever, and you basically do like sissy squats with a barbell behind your back. So it's an extreme form. It's actually very good for the quads, but it's not a super safe movement, right? But if you incorporate those as well, like you'll find that when you start doing regular behind the back deadlifts, your movement pattern is going to change a little bit, okay? So it sounds to me like you just don't have the form down right, and doing the progressive range of motion will get you into that proper groove, because I can tell you that this is what used to happen to me as well. Like when I first started doing behind the back, yeah, it was the same thing, okay? So really try what I'm telling you, okay? Gradually reduce the height, and I can pretty much assure you that when you get down to pulling from the ground, you're going to be in a good position, all right? So definitely try that out. And then as a final suggestion, you can also, instead of just pulling from the ground straight up, you unrack it, then you bring it to the ground. Now your body might be in a better position, okay? It could just be as well that you're not grabbing it correctly, and just the fact that you have to pull from that awkward position behind the back from the floor, it's like you find it uncomfortable. So try out those suggestions. Yo, Alpha, I'm a novice lifter. Should I only focus on strength for now and aesthetics later? Listen, man, just get strong as hell. That's all you got to do, okay? Prioritize the main compound movements: squat, bench press, deadlift, overhead press, barbell row, weighted pull-up. Do a few accessories like barbell curls, maybe some push downs or extensions. Lower back and abs is always great as well. You know, maybe some rear delt flies, whatever. Like, just follow a basic-ass novice program. Get your numbers up. Get your bench from whatever it is now, maybe 95 to 225 for reps. Your chest, shoulders, and tries are going to blow up your legs, man. Get that squat from 100 to 3 plates, you know? Like, just get strong. That's all you got to do. Get strong, milk the linear gains. You're going to have no problems getting muscle whatsoever. Like I said in many videos, natural bodybuilding is essentially strength training. Not in the way that you have to do 1 rep maxes and super heavy weights, but you need to improve your performance over a long period of time. And the best way to do that is with a basic linear progression system that has you getting stronger. Do that, you're going to have no problems getting muscle whatsoever. And then when you lean down, all the aesthetics are there. Would you consider a glute bridge or hip thrust a useful accessory movement for squats and deadlifts? Thanks. Well, as a standalone movement, it's very good. It's like asking me, should you do good mornings to complement squats and deads? Maybe. The thing is, not everybody gets the same degree of carryover. I've heard some powerlifters say that it does absolutely nothing for them. Others swear by the exercise. So what are you looking for here? Carryover or just strength gains or just size gains? Because I could tell you that hip thrusts and glute bridges are amazing for the glutes. You're going to get great development. Some would even say that's superior to squats and deads. That's a very strong statement, but I even heard Paul Carter say something along the lines of he didn't have the greatest glute development until he started really taking it seriously with the hip thrusts and all that, and even the lunges. So sometimes the answer is not always in squats and deadlifts, even though I believe that usually is the case for most people. But nonetheless, if it's carryover, try it out. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe not. If it's general strength and size, absolutely go for it. There's nothing to worry about. Alex, I'm torso dominant, so what do you think about tuck ring rows or ring rows in general and front lever negatives besides the pull-ups and chins, which I do mostly on rings weighted to correct torso dominance? I highly doubt this is going to correct your torso dominance. Like, I do these movements myself, and I can very much feel my back doing the work. Like, that's really what it is for me. I never see this correcting my torso dominance in a million years. I would say more so emphasizing the supinated movements on the bars is going to be much better, okay? Like doing exclusively that, or very minimal pull-ups. And then using closed grips for everything, and doing a lot of additional accessories. But the torso dominance is just very apparent. Like, you can clearly tell, like, the chest and the back, it dwarfs it. And the ring stuff, it's fantastic, it's really good, but I don't see it correcting this imbalance, man. I think you really need a specific approach, like, much more tailored for that, for the goal of building a bigger arm. Hi Alex, I'm 72 kilogram male. My strict overhead press is 50 to 52 kilos, but I find it very hard to make linear gains like I did getting to this point. Surely I haven't reached intermediate stage yet. What would you recommend to make progress? Thanks. Well, you are definitely getting closer. Like I would say you're late novice, definitely. And like you're going to hit your peak very, very soon with linear progression. I would say, given your weight being 72 kilos, okay, and 50 for reps, like, yeah, it's pretty good, man. Like, you're right there. And I think in your case, maybe you should drop the volume just a little bit and enter a calorie surplus. Maybe try to get your weight up to 75 kilos. So I would gain a little bit of weight, drop the volume slightly, maybe go slightly lower on the repetitions as well. I think you'll surpass that plateau, but it won't last very long. It'll be short-lived in my opinion because you're really close to that one plate mark, right? So milk that. You're like right there. You're at the finish line, bro. And then switch to a concurrent routine or something else that's periodized or whatever, right? And then, of course, there's the other solution, which is just do an intermediate program right now. That'll definitely surpass that plateau. Guaranteed. In a very fast amount of time, you're done. You're over. But the question is, do you need it? So you can do whatever you want. You can go intermediate right now. You could try to milk the linear gains a little bit more. It's on you. Hey Alex, my inner chest seems to be lagging compared to outer chest. I know there's nothing known as inner chest. There's only pec major and minor, but practically it looks like my outer chest mass increases faster compared to inner. What can I do? Doing more flies will help. The best thing you could do is get your chest as jacked as humanly possible. Okay, basically become an advanced lifter, get a lot of muscular development, and see how your pecs look at the end of that. Like I could tell you that I have a massive gap right in the center of my chest that's been there since I started lifting. Now, when I first began, it looked really, really bad. But as I got more jacked, eventually like the pecs start getting so big that it almost creates the illusion that they're fusing together, even though the shape is exactly the same. And also growing out the body hair fills in the area, so it creates some shadows, and it makes it look like more symmetrical in a sense, right? And I know some guys actually have like tattoos right in the middle of the chest. So that's one aspect behind it, but you can't change the chest shape unless you believe that there's some type of mental thing that you could do to affect that. And I'm not even going to go there, right? Because there's no proof that any of that stuff works. So what I'm talking about is just getting jacked. Okay, get your bench to 3 plates for reps, pause style, see what happens to those pecs, man. But to answer your other question, should you do chest flies? Sure. If you notice that your chest is lagging, you're having trouble building it up, give it a shot. I wouldn't recommend it with dumbbells, but do it with a cable, you know? Really squeeze them pecs. Cable or bands, whatever, high volume at the end of your workout. Maybe it could help you a little bit. It's not going to be a major game changer if you ask me. Like, I think pause bench, weighted dips, those are really your go-tos. Then the push-ups, like, whoa, the push-ups are going to do wonders for your development. Maybe try calisthenics or whatever, right? But that's all I would tell you. Like, get very strong at the flat pressing, you know? Then a little bit of flies at the end of it, but it's not the major component if you ask me. So just get jacked is my answer. Yo, Alex, would it be fine to add accessory lifts such as barbell curls and 5x5 routine? If so, how many sets of reps? Yes, you can definitely do that. And I believe the Reg Park routine originally included that. It was 5x5 barbell curl. Fantastic idea for the simple reason that the compound movements are not enough. I hear some people saying, oh, just do your barbell rows, okay? And your biceps going to grow just fine. What garbage advice. Who the fuck in the right mind would ever recommend that? Who can possibly tell me that's optimal in any type of way? I see a lot of novice lifters not isolating their arms. And by the time they hit intermediate, they tend to have some lagging arms. It's not because of torso dominance, okay? They didn't do any fucking curls, bro. I know some strong powerlifters, crazy deadlift strength, crazy rowing strength. They got fucking stick biceps, piss poor development, and they're weak as shit on curls. I even know guys who are strong at weighted chin-ups. Weak barbell curls for the most part, from a proportion standpoint. It doesn't even add up. You want the biggest biceps possible, you have to isolate them. Or do some type of gymnastic type stuff, but it's not optimal to just rely on compound movements. That's fucking horseshit. It's never going to be optimal in a million years. And until the end of lifting, people are going to continue to isolate their biceps because it is the way, okay, for the best results possible. I'm not talking about effective here. I'm not talking about what's good, what's doable. I'm talking about number one on the planet is doing isolation work. And I think as a novice lifter, it's fantastic. It doesn't have to be barbell curls. It could be fucking dumbbell curls. It could be gymnastic stuff. It could be whatever. But yes, I think it's a great idea. And that's how you should do it for sure. And for sets and reps, it could be 5x5. It could be 3x5. It could be 3 sets of 8 to 12. Just get stronger and everything's going to be fine. If my goal is to build strength, should I do other rep ranges than 1 to 6 reps? Love your videos, man. Keep up the good work. Yeah, of course, bro. I don't like this one way of thinking of, okay, just do reps of 1 to 6 if you want to get stronger. And if you just want hypertrophy, 3 sets of 8 to 12. It's just black and white thinking needs to die. Put it like that. Everything blends. And the best naturals use a combination of all methods. And the way that I would say it is like, if you periodize your routine, you're going to go through these phases in the first place. Like on a linear setup or just block setup, like there are periods where you're doing a lot of volume, then there are periods where you're doing a lot of intensity. On a concurrent routine, which is what I recommend, you're training everything at the same time. You got a volume day and intensity day. So on my volume day, I'm not going to do fucking 1 rep maxes. I might do a 3 sets of 50 12. I might do a 5 by 10. I might even go higher than that. Maybe I'll even reverse the order and do a 10 by 3. You dig? I can do 5 by 5 as well. So to me, I like to use a combination of every set rep, range, all the percentages, everything. So I'm going to recommend the same. Check out my Naturally Enhanced program if you want a comprehensive guide on really matching everything. So you're doing it all. And if you don't want that, we'll do some type of block setup or whatever, you know? But the idea that you should only do low reps for strength, to me, is not ideal. Have you thought about making the transition to strongman type training? Nah, not really, bro. It's a really cool sport, and I respect the athletes a lot, but I don't really care about it for me personally. And it's the same thing for powerlifting. Like, I don't give a fuck, you know? Also, strongman in particular, like, I'm short, bro, with not really the best leverages for a lot of the movements. Like, pretty poor leverages, I would say, for that sport. Which is not an excuse, it's just a fact. Like, I'm not going to excel at something like that. I would do much better at, like, gymnastics or some type of calisthenics thing, or maybe a combat sport where I'm in a lower weight class, or just straight up powerlifting. Actually, I'd be pretty good at that, given my my build and all that, but I don't care about it, you know? Honestly, I'm just a recreational lifter. Like, people put me on this huge fucking pedestal, you know? I have a good physique. I like strength training. I like constantly getting better. More knowledge, all that. I like helping people out, but fuck, I'm not a professional athlete. I don't give a fuck about that. I really don't. Like, I give zero fucks. So, for me, I do things for me. And I don't care about strongman at the moment. Maybe I will in the future, but it's really not on my radar. And I have other goals I want to achieve. Like right now, I want those bigger arms. I want a bigger bench, big overhead press. I want to keep mastering the calisthenics. I want more endurance for the legs, okay? That's what my focus is, not strongman. Thoughts on doing weighted pull-ups with bands to add more resistance? How would this carry over to regular weighted pull-ups? It'll definitely have carryover, especially given the fact that pull-ups are hard as shit at the top. Very, very hard. For me, it might be one of the most difficult portions. It's not even the bottom. Like, I notice that I tend to have lockout issues when I do chin-ups or weighted pull-ups. Like, it's difficult. And I can see what bands being beneficial, because as you get closer to the lockout, the band will stretch out more, and it's basically, you're making the strength curve even more screwed up. So will this have carryover? I would say absolutely, 100% guaranteed. And it's another variation to override the biological law of accommodation. If you don't want to just alternate the grips or whatever, or change the pausing and all that, like, throw in some bands. You got all kinds of different tensions. It's going to make things great. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this. Alex, don't you feel cleans can be just as effective for building traps as rack pulls above the knee? I get sore when I do cleans if I've not done them for a long time. Also, when I do rack pulls, I have trouble with the grip and the straps hurt my hands. In response to your first question, absolutely not. Not in a million fucking years. Cleans are far inferior to rack pulls above the knee for the purpose of building up your traps. For one, there's a large technique component. And secondly, you're limited by the weight. Big time. You can't overload with that. And I would say that power shrugs are superior, as are snatch grip high pulls, as are many exercises, including farmer walks, in my opinion. That said, are cleans effective at building up the traps? Absolutely. If you get a strong clean, will your traps be nice? High chance. Do I recommend cleans? Yes. Are they great for athletes? Yes. So I'm not knocking down the lift. I'm just saying that for the sole purpose of building up your yoke, there are more effective ways to do that. And rack pulls are king in this regard. I would say rack pulls above the knee are number one, power shrugs are second. Then the next stuff and the cheat rows complement that very nicely. But in no way would I ever say that power cleans are comparable to rack pulls above the knee. No way. No fucking way. And I will continue to stand by for what the truth actually is. Okay, I've already given you all my arguments. You can check out my yoke playlist. Rack pulls are the truth. They really, really are. Now, in regards to your question about grip and the straps hurting your hands, you need to get a better pair, my friend. I don't know what you're wearing. It's probably some cheap garbage, but get the Iron Mind ones, you know? Or look into a company that's actually of high quality, and it's not going to hurt you, okay? But this shouldn't be an issue. Like, maybe you're going to get a bit of redness or whatever, but, like, you deal with it and that's it. All right, last question of the week. Hey, Alex, just started your novice program. What numbers would you class as hitting the intermediate stage on weighted chins? Honestly, man, I've gotten this question a lot, and I still don't have an answer to it. All I can tell you is that you need to milk the linear gains as much as possible, which is going to vary from person to person. Maybe it'll be 65 pounds for you. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. The thing is, like, what's your body weight? What's your height? There's a lot of factors that affect weighted pull-up and chin-up strength, right? Everybody's progression is very different on these movements, and we don't really have, like, much beginner standards, if you will, for the simple reason that the guys who tend to compete on these movements, they're like weighted calisthenics freaks. They do really big numbers. Not really like a big thing competition-wise, like in the first place. So I have absolutely no idea. I would say just focus on getting strong as hell, you know? monitor your progress, see how your recovery is affected, see if you're able to do linear gains. If not, then you're probably intermediate for that lift, whatever the number may be. But I'm gonna say maybe it'll be 50 pounds, maybe a bit higher. I don't know, maybe 100. I don't know, bro. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A video. Like I said before, I'm back with the regular content. I'm gonna try to get you some very exclusive segments this time around, and the frequency is gonna be up there again. So I didn't post for a reason. I was in Toronto for a long time, but let's get the ball rolling again, okay? So that's it. I'll see you around next week.